Welcome to Business Legal Lifecycle TV, the live TV show all about the legal aspects of your business to help educate you on complex legal terms in an easy to understand manner, to help understand why you need to do certain things in your business from a legal point of view, and to help you develop a plan for the future. Our mission at Business Legal Lifecycle is to help empower all small to medium-sized businesses around the world to get access to legal advice so that they can help build their communities and make the world a better place. Did you know that any business owner is on average 7 months away from losing everything? That is the average time it takes from a successful business to fold when an aspect of their business is not set up correctly. Have you ever wanted to get legal advice but didn't understand what was going on? Do you feel like there is a divide between lawyers and their clients? Then this TV show is for you. It is all about empowering you and your business with the knowledge and tools to ensure that this doesn't happen to you. Business Legal Lifecycle TV delivers a twice-weekly show focusing on the legal aspects of your business. At lunchtime on Mondays, we present Fast Fix Monday, a quick 5 to 10 minute show that will give you some actionable steps to consider for the week for your business. And at lunchtime on Wednesdays, we present our in-depth show of between 30 minutes and an hour, where we go through complicated legal aspects of your business in a simple to understand, plain English manner. And whether that is through educational pieces or interviews with experts in their fields.
Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Business Legal Lifecycle TV. Today is Wednesday, so it's one of our longer form shows. And today, lucky for our viewers and listeners, it's one of our interview shows where we interview someone in the industry that's got a lot of important things to share with our listeners and viewers. And today is no exception to that. Jeremy, you are here. Do you want to say hello to everyone?
Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great Wednesday.
Excellent. So, as I said, today is one of our interview shows, and it's with a gentleman by the name of Anthony Witt, and he's from the Champion Entrepreneur. So, Anthony is the owner of a number of other businesses, including the Champion Life. He is a therapist, coach, and advisor who helps you find the champion within you. He believes in building strong, long-term relationships with his clients to help them achieve their success and to connect them with like-minded business owners. Anthony also has his own podcast, the Champion Entrepreneur Podcast, which is currently ranked in the top 100 on What's Hot in Apple Podcasts. So he is right there with a lot of important information. He's got a long history of experience, and we are obviously pleased to have him on our show and podcast today. Jeremy, you did the interview with Anthony. What are the 3 top takeaways from that interview that the viewers and listeners will learn?
Yeah, so the focus of the interview is all about building connections. So through Anthony's business, he does a lot of work with that, and he and I are members of a networking group, Iron Sharpens Iron, based out of the US. So we talk a lot about building connections. So the 3 top things are the importance of building connections. We also go through some practical tips, and you'll get that in the worksheet. People will be able to have a look at the worksheet for the practical tips on how to build those connections, and you can download that by clicking on the link just below in Facebook. And then we also go through some of the common mistakes that people make in trying to build connections. And really, we delve a bit deep into some of those things that people get wrong. So look, without any further ado, that's enough hearing from me. Let's transition over to the interview with Anthony Witt. Welcome, Anthony, to Business Legal Lifecycle TV and our podcast.
Well, hey, man, I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. So you're joining us all the way from Illinois, that's right?
Yeah, Illinois, middle of nowhere, Illinois is what I like to say.
Excellent. So do you want to tell us a bit about your history and how you got into coaching and what you're doing now?
Yeah, you bet. The short answer to that question is I wasn't trying to be a coach. I was trying to learn. That's the honest answer. Actually, I can't remember if this is going to be one of the questions or not, but I got into podcasting because I said, hey, I feel like my question's not being answered. So I started my podcast to get my question answered, right?
Yep.
I started developing, I don't want to use the word expertise, but an expertise of being able to find people to answer questions.
Yep.
And I kept just asking the questions I had and asking the questions that I had. And it snowballed into people saying, hey, can you coach me on this? Can you? I'm like, well, I would love to. Yeah, sure. Give me money. That's a great idea. And from there, I started developing what is my platform, What do I actually believe in? What things do I think is important or not important?
Yep.
So that's kind of the short answer of how I got into it. I don't want to say I stumbled upon it, but it kind of just slowly developed because people were hearing me on a regular basis. And so that kind of just developed into, hey, can you help me get to that point?
Yep.
So there you go. Just being curious, I guess, would be the really short answer.
Yeah, well, that's a great answer. So you've had a few jobs and you've got your own business now. Why did you move into your own business? Going back to that.
Oh man, I was answering a similar question. I actually just did a retreat with a bunch of guys. I just got back from the mountains, and some of our pre-work was similar type. Hey, well, why do you do this, or why are you in this? And one of them was kind of that. Why do you work for yourself?
Yep.
And as I kind of am reflecting on it right now, even one of the reasons is I don't have a problem with authority, but I want to have freedom to be able to create something and then putting it into play. A lot of times what happens, or in my experience when I was under people, was I might create something and then they would just arbitrarily decide this is good or this is bad.
Yep.
And it's not one of those things where I was like, oh man, I hate that guy. He didn't take my idea. It was more of a, now I don't know what to do.
Yep.
Because I don't know if it failed and I don't know if it would have succeeded because we just didn't even try it,
Yep.
There's that. And then also what I really enjoy doing is looking at problems. It's kind of similar vein, looking at problems and coming up with solutions. Corporate structure, whether that's the banking industry or the legal industry, whatever industry, they all have this, structure.
Yep.
Well, you got to work within that box, and it's really hard to work outside that box. And so I find in my own head that I can find the best solutions by working outside of those boxes for the stuff inside of those boxes. Okay. And corporate just doesn't facilitate that very well typically, which is actually what I love about the stuff you guys are doing here is you jumped outside of that box and said, hey, these things over here, they're going to help us inside this box.
Yep.
And so I don't know if that's a total answer, but that would be kind of my answer. Like it's kind of working through it.
Well, I think it's a great answer because so many people do say, oh, I hated my boss or I just wanted to be my own boss or something like that. I think that's a really good deep dive into some of probably the more fundamental reasons that people actually go into that own business mindset.
Yeah, the other, like I said, I was literally doing this work like 5 days ago. The other reason was I'm a family man. I'm married. I have 5 kids.
Yep.
And I decided that, I want to have money so we can do stuff and we can have fun. But what I decided was, for me, it was much more important to be able to spend time with my family right now.
Yep.
My kids are young. My oldest is 11. My youngest is 3. Like right now is when I want to spend time with my family.
Yep.
In 10 years, I might say, hey, you know what? I'm happy doing 80-hour weeks for you.
Yep.
But right now, I want to spend time with them. You just can't do that typically, at least in America. That structure is not quite there.
It's very much the same here in Australia. I'm very much of the same view. As you know, I've got 2. I don't have 5. I've got 2 children, and I like. Part of my, the thing I love about being in my business is that I can spend time with my family as well. I think that's really valuable.
Yeah, and I think, knowing what I know about you, you're able to spend time. Like you're like, hey, I take this day off, or I work from home from this day. You can do that.
That's
you
right.
Can't do that when you work for somebody else.
That's right. Or it's a much bigger struggle to do that otherwise.
Now there's a shift happening, which I think we'll get into this. There's definitely a shift happening, at least in America, where people are saying, big companies, like Caterpillar, these massive global companies are saying, okay, I don't know exactly what they're saying internally, but the external is, well, if we let somebody work from home for a day, it's going to be better for them. Yep. And I would argue that there's some, positives to that and some negatives for that. So there's some type of global shift happening in that. So I'm kind of interested to see how it all plays out because there's also other connection and community things that are pulling against that.
And let's talk about that for a bit. We may as well go there now. I think that's a good point. And the advent of technology and everything makes that possible. But what do you think the mindset shift for a business owner needs to be able to let their staff work from home?
They have to the answer to that question I think is really simple. They have to stop being ego and just let go.
Yep.
It's the I will take well, it's two things, I think. One is you're not more productive because you're sitting at a desk and I can see you. You're actually probably less productive. I mean, that's what the statistic tells us anyways, right? Because I'm just here. You think I'm working, I'm on my computer, so it doesn't matter if I'm playing a game or not. You think I'm working, so I'm productive, right? But the owners have to be able to let go of that.
Yep.
First off, and they also have to. I would probably go against, or probably argue that they have to allow failure.
Yes.
Like, I got to let you screw up because you did a bad job with time management. Okay, you're not doing good at this, so I'm going to have to take that freedom back from you. When I'm in the right spot mentally, and so my brain's in the right, especially if you're doing like individual work, is kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking someone that sits at a computer and does individual work.
Yes.
That person has got an optimal positioning. It's going to be optimal time of day, right? Whether that's I'm super good in the morning, I'm super good at night, and there's arguments on both ends of that. That's right. From really top high end, what we would call experts, right?
Yep.
The 10,000 hour people, the people that are the experts, on both ends of the scales.
Yes.
So it's individually, but the business owner has got to let go and say, I will take 80% right now so we can figure this out.
Yep.
Because I'm going to, and percentages don't work here, but I'm going to reward you. I'm going to get 110%.
Yep.
And I think especially in America, I know enough about Australia, but I should have done some research.
We have kangaroos and beaches.
You have kangaroos and outbacks. And fortnights. What we're doing here in America is we're working more, we're not taking vacations, but we're less productive. And so a business owner's got to realize that, hey, yeah, maybe I hire you for 40 hours or 60 hours a week. You're my salary guy and I expect you to answer the phone when I call. But what I got to start realizing is it's the amount of productivity you have within the times that you spend. So that might mean some days you've only actually worked for me for 3 hours, but those 3 hours are worth 10 hours of pay.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if that answers that question, but I really think they got to let go.
Yeah, I think let go and you've got to be able to trust as well. So we have team members in our law firm that work from home, and we don't have a problem because we trust them. And if you don't trust people, what's the point of employing them? Is kind of my attitude. And that is hard, and that letting go is what people need to do to be able to build that trust. But it is something that I see in Australia that people are doing more and more as well. So yeah, I think it's a good thing for people to learn, that they need to trust their team if they're going to employ them to be able to bring them on.
Yeah, and so I was just working with a guy actually on my little thing that I went on recently, and he had all these ideas. He's like, "No, this is the vision where we need to go. We got to go this direction." He's he's the founder.
Yep.
And several of us that are businessmen or business coaches are in the end. We're like, "It's totally wrong. You need to totally let go of that and let that person over there who you've hired to do this thing, let them drive that part of the ship."
Yep. Because
they're actually right. And the founder was so stuck in his own head, like, this is the way it's got to be. And so to your point, I need 5 desks. I need someone in each one of those desks from 9 to 5 or whatever it is. Well, they need to trust, let go, make sure that the people they hired are doing what they're supposed to do.
That's right. Yeah, couldn't agree more. All right, well, that's a good segue into the topic of today's talk, and that's around connections. And you and I, we talk a lot about connections and connecting with people, so that's why I wanted to get you on the show. So can we start off by talking about the importance of building connections to business owners and why why is it something that they need to do on a regular basis?
I personally would say that the reason, there's a lot of different reasons. The biggest reason is so that you can succeed. And what I mean by that is I can see your perspective. I'm a huge proponent for cross-pollination of industries. Yep. Huge component for it. I love talking to, let's pick a topic that I'm not in, commercial kitchen cooks.
Yep.
Right? I have no connection there whatsoever. But they're going to be able to say, hey, this is what we do in the commercial kitchen. Maybe you should try this in your construction company, Anthony. That might be a good idea. Like, I don't know, maybe it'll work.
Yep.
And you get that. I can't get that if I'm not connected with that commercial kitchen person, which is That's a stretch, but that's what I look at as the biggest reason that you need to build connections.
Okay, great. And that's a great example because often the best ideas come from outside your industry, don't they?
Yeah, well, in what we say today, it's a combining of two industries that are not connected. That's the change we're seeing.
Yep.
Like I heard somebody say, I think the quote was, everything that can be invented has been invented. What we're doing now, and I don't know if I agree with that, but what we're doing now is we're taking things that are not connected and we're connecting them and we're fundamentally changing everything.
Yep.
Because now these two things, construction and kitchen cooking, like not connected.
Yeah. Well, but they probably are. In some respects, there's a step-by-step process that you need to follow to do both, and there's different ways of doing it. So there'd be a connection there somewhere.
Yeah, and so but the combining of different industries is what, is how things are actually moving forward now, how we're making money. If you want to make a fundamental, if you want to say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to make a huge global impact, what I'm seeing happening is that right there.
Yep.
I'm taking two separate industries and I'm figuring out how they connect, and I'm getting into not just connect like this, but like over top of each other.
Yep.
And now they're one and the same.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that's a really good reason. And so as far as building your connections, what are some practical things that people can do to build those connections just on a daily basis?
I think it's just be human, which means actually interact with humans. So we have this phenomenon, we have this problem, and if you read any of the research, so I'm in on the psychology side. That's what we do with our counseling and coaching now, very strongly. What we see is kids don't know how to communicate.
Okay.
And as the ages, as millennials as well, the younger the millennials for sure. I'm a millennial by like 1 year or something like that. So I separate myself on purpose. No, the younger millennials, because they have more technology, right? And even the kids who are younger than they are, the Gen Zs, I think it's Gen Zs, yeah.
Yeah.
All of them coming up, they don't have the ability to interact with other people because they haven't had to do it. Why? Because I pick up my phone and I never actually have to talk to somebody.
Yep.
And if I do talk to somebody, I can do whatever I want. I can put this facade on. If you do any work with any of the social media platforms for business, they give you all these cool ideas of how to like make this dull gray room with these two little things on the wall. Okay, this is how you do the lighting right. You shift it this way, and so you make it look like you're a professional. But we do that all the time with ourselves. Now we have these fake faces on. That's what I call them. We've got my Instagram face, my Snapchat face, my Facebook face, my whatever it is. And so now when I go out in the real world, I don't know how to like communicate without trying to say I'm the expert. I know everything.
Yep.
So I haven't figured out how I don't want to do that. So to get back to your question now, get out and actually meet people, talk to people. So there's a couple different. We talked about staying at home. This is a detriment, I think, to the work at home concept or idea. I'm a huge proponent of it because I want to spend time with my family. I love my family, right? I don't care if you love your family or you hate your family. If all you do is you work at home and you don't interact with people, you reduce the human. We're built and designed to live in community. And so if we're not doing that, we're not going to know how to do that, which means when I have a problem or when I need something, I don't have anybody that's actually going to answer the phone when I call them.
Yep.
So again, back to your point, get out there. If you're a digital person, like so you do work online, that's what you do.
Yep.
Go to conferences. Get outside of your, I say, so I live in rural, I live in the outback of Illinois, if you will. My wife posted a picture this morning on one of her social media channels of my father-in-law moving cows across the road, and there was a traffic jam. There was 2 cars. So I live in the outback, right? So what I need to do, or what I have to do, is I have to go to the cities, go to the conferences, right? Because there's not a whole lot of activities locally for me to interact with. Now, I can still go to your traditional stuff, so like your chamber things or your economic development things for your cities and your communities. If you live in a metropolitan area, every day there's a meetup of some sort.
Right.
Now, you can waste a bunch of time and not be productive, but strategically pick stuff out and go to them. Now, when I say that, I don't mean go to a seminar on how to build better systems. I mean, go to that with the intention of meeting people.
Yep.
And then if you learn anything from the talkers or the seminar people, that's a bonus, because the objective is to build connections. So now if I meet you, Jeremy, at this systemizing conference or whatever,
Yep.
I can come back later on. We can get on a Zoom call. We're across the world, but we can get, I would have, I might have never been able to connect with you. But that's not how we got connected, but
yeah,
the point is there. So literally get out and meet people. So I would tell somebody, if you're in rural America and you don't, literally out and on the farm like I am, you need to go to the cities.
Yep.
You need to be willing to spend the money to go to the conferences. You can go to cheap conferences. You can go to expensive conferences. I don't care. Go out and actually meet people. If you live in the cities, find out where people are meeting. Find out where the business people. Go to the startup places. Go to the incubators. Go where people are at and they're doing things. And actually start shaking hands, but actually make that your intention. Not trying to get educated. I love education. I love reading. I have transcripts from 7 universities. So I love learning.
Yep.
But what you need to do is actually, it's not about learning. It's about, as far as educational, hierarchical knowledge, it's about me learning about you.
Yes.
And what you're doing and how you're working. Oh man, that's so interesting. And actually caring about you. So the practical thing is make the list of the things you need to get out there and do.
Yep.
Or the events you should go to and actually go to them.
Yep.
Say, hey, Jeremy, we're friends. Are you going to anywhere this year?
Yep.
Would any of those be appropriate for me to attend? Great. Now I got a wingman.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to go to some events together. Maybe we'll be together the whole time, but we're going to meet a bunch of new people.
Yeah, make sure that if you do have a wingman that you actually practically go and actually meet people and not just hang out with that one person all the time.
Yeah, so I'll give you, I met an individual at a conference. We met at the conference and we just hit it off really well. I don't know what it was about. To this day, I couldn't tell you what was it about him?
Yep.
And we met at several other conferences since then. But we became each other's wingman in the event.
Yep.
Specifically to meet more people.
Yep.
So there would be 100 people in the hallway or 1,000 people in the hallway, depending on, and he'd be right here, his back to me talking to this person. He'd say, hey, you need to meet Anthony. We'd literally flip-flop.
Yep.
And so to your point, actually meeting people.
Yeah. And I think I love the intentionality and the practical of actually doing that. But just to circle back on something that you said at the beginning of the answer to that question around the mask that people see. So people see the mask on social media and they think that someone's life is perfect. And we see the reality TV shows. I don't personally watch them, but I see the ads for them because I don't watch much TV anyway, but I can't stand that reality TV. But the people need to realize that other people's lives aren't perfect. What they portray is perfection. And the only way to really see that is to go out and talk to people, in my view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that, like I said, we can get all the way into all kinds of different psychologies and everything. That actually pushes us towards the suicide rate is increasing across the world.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of different things that are happening, depression. All of these things are increasing. And there's some direct correlations to these social platforms that we're using. Yep. Because we put on this face. And so I think, man, look at Jeremy. He has a perfect world over there in Australia. Man, oh my goodness, why can't I? And so now I just live in this shame or I live in this fear. If it gets to shame, that's even worse. But so to your point, when I shake your hand and I look in your eyes and say, hey, man, how are you doing? Like, man, it's horrible. I'm fighting with my wife. Our business is going under. Oh, man, I had no idea.
Yep.
But guess what just happened? What happened there, and that doesn't happen quite that fast normally, we've had an exchange of vulnerability, whatever direction it went. And that vulnerability is the currency of relationships. I strongly believe in that.
Yep.
And so if I'm going to be vulnerable with you, and somebody's got to be willing to say, you know what, I'm just going to be the person that goes first. Yep. There's not okay, so Anthony, what's the formula? You go first? No, it's somebody's just going to have to decide to go first. And you have to be willing to be risky enough and say, I trust you enough. I know enough about you to be able to say, hey, man, I don't have it figured out.
Yep.
I'm messed up. Because that's the thing. Everybody is messed up somehow.
That's right. No one has a perfect life.
No one has. In the perfect. the perfect life people don't have a perfect life. You know, I wrote a statistic recently that, and maybe it was in an interaction with you, I can't remember, where an individual I think he met with 5 top 1%ers. So like 1% of the 1%ers of the world.
Mm.
And all 5 of them struggle with fear.
Yep.
Fear. These people are the people that like, oh, you need $1 million. Well, I'm going to just burn it. Right? And it's no big deal, right? They live in fear. Everybody has something.
Fear of what?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Yep.
Fear of failure, right? So now I've got a company and let's say we're $1 billion company. How many people do I have on my payroll? How many lives am I responsible for? How many kids, families, grandpas? How many other individuals do I actually, I don't like the word support, but are dependent upon me and the next action that I take.
Yep.
And so fear is a massive problem with your top CEOs. You say, really? Fear? Top CEOs? Man, I got this fear problem. I got this depression problem and I can't pay my bills.
Yep.
So we could get into psychology and how I wouldn't make the statement that everybody has a mental problem, but everybody has problems. We don't have a perfect life. This is a broken world. So you realize that, and we build relationships, I think, is probably the point here, is get out and build relationships.
Yep. And that's a good segue to the next topic I want to talk about. And we can probably do a whole show on this topic, but what are some of the common mistakes people make in trying to build connections? So we talked about vulnerability. What are some of the others, I suppose, that people make, the mistakes they make in trying to build those connections?
I think the biggest mistake that I see, and you'll know it when you see it, is that all they're trying to do is put me on a list, put me in a spreadsheet, add me to their column, put me on their shelf. Like you can see it. I was at a conference once and this girl said, I said, oh, how a bunch of people around. It wasn't just like me and her. You know, hey, who are you? What do you do? You know, that's the question, right? You know, hey, nice to meet you. Where are you from? What do you do? I'm a connector. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of like that. All she was trying to do, though, I got it like immediately, 10 seconds in. All she wanted to do was be able to put me in her box so that she could pull me out for her benefit.
Yep.
That's all she was trying to do. Because I'll be honest with you, I make that same statement. Rarely do I make it out loud. But like that's where my asset is.
Yep.
To be honest, I'm a connector. I have a lot of people in a lot of different industries. And so if you tell me what your problem is, I can probably find in my Rolodex, either mentally or physically, hey, you should meet this person.
Yep.
They'll probably be able to help you. I'm really good at that. But I'm not doing it simply so I can gain. And that's what people do. That's the mistake they make. They say, Jeremy, Australia, lawyer, nope. I don't need anybody in Australia. I'm not going to work in Australia. My business is going there. Or we want to expand into Australia. Would you take our literature and pass it out? So now all I'm doing, it's me.
Yep.
That's the biggest mistake we make.
Yep.
When we go out, because we forget that's a human on the other side of whatever it is, you know, the other side of the table, the other side of anything. That's another human. It's not a computer. It's not a systemized process.
Yep.
It's another person. So if we want to make true intimate or true genuine connections, we have to care about the other person.
Yes.
That's the solution, is we have to care.
Yep. And it's interesting. I think another really big tell, and you're saying you can tell in the first 10 seconds, is when they lead with a business card. When you go to a meeting, a networking meeting, and they lead with a business card, you kind of, for me, that, especially in Australia, that kind of tells that they're just after collecting business cards and they're not actually wanting to build that connection. I don't know whether you see that same in America. Yeah.
Yeah. So I still carry business cards, and some of you are like, you carry business cards? Everything's digital. Why would you even need a business card? I still carry business cards.
Yep.
I only normally carry about 4 or 5 in my pocket, even if I'm going to a conference with 10,000 people. And I rarely pass them out now. I used to pass them out relatively, like if you wanted my card at some point, I would give you my card. Now I'm just like, you don't really want my card. You want to put me in a funnel to buy your MLM product, to, you know, whatever, buy this thing that you have, you know, send you stuff. You don't really care about me.
Yep.
And so I don't pass it out. As a matter of fact, I'll take business. Yeah, sure. I'll take your business card. Next trash can I find, I throw it away.
Yep.
Because you don't care about me. I know you don't care about me. So I'm not going to keep it. I'm not going to build a relationship with you. And this is probably a negative on my part. I'm not going to build a relationship if you don't care about me. Yes. Now, if I look at you and I say, man, there's something about that person, clearly they're being selfish, or clearly they're just out, but man, I want to help that person. I feel for that person, maybe their situation or whatever it is.
Yep.
I'll come back and try to be the better person, right? Which is, how can I actually help you?
Yep.
Because then that's how we can turn the tide. Which is, let's say you're acting out of, and some of it's, I use the word selfishness, right? A lot here in this scenario. Some of it's ignorance. It's, there's definitely selfishness is a major component of it, but some of it's ignorance, which is, I started this business, I don't have any revenue, I'm drowning, I need to be able to support my family or whatever, or the other families of the, if you're single, the families of the people that work for me, I need business.
Yep.
Would you like to do a consulting call with me? How about that? Like, some of that is like ignorance, and really that's the societal change to emotional intelligence that we've lost. Like, we have this emotional intelligence, I wanted to use the word depression, but deficiency.
Yep.
And so that's what I call ignorance. It's an ignorance of that. And so if I can say, man, let me help you with this for a second, stop for a minute and actually care about the person on the other table.
Yep.
So I might see you doing that. And if I think that there's potential there, I'm going to say, hey, and maybe not right then, I might get on a call with you later on, but stop and actually care about the person. Yep. So the problem is not caring. The solution is caring.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think really helps as well, and I know you do this, is you ask how you can actually help them, rather than what they can do for you, how they can help you. And you said that before, but I really want to just get that out, because I think how can I help you really, it helps build that trust, and it shows that you're genuine rather than just looking at it for yourself. Yeah.
So it's kind of worked into my verbiage now. I say it quite a bit. And even I want to take us back just a quick step. In that, it can sometimes feel ingenuine, right? Because it's part of my ticker, right?
Yep.
When I get done with a client who's already paying me, typically I say, we got a minute left. How can I help you?
Yep.
Right? So it's part of my vernacular that I use all the time. But I've caught myself, I need to be careful to make sure that it doesn't sound like it's just a robocall. It's just what I say, right? Because even though I'm genuine in my desire, if my presentation doesn't come across that way, you're going to be like, yeah, whatever, you don't really want to help me. You're just saying that so that I can give you something so then later on you can ask me for help,
Yeah, and that's really tough, isn't it? That you don't know what they're thinking. And so you've got to be, and you can't use because you say it all the time. So for you, it might feel robo, but for the people that you're connecting with, they might feel that they might see that as the genuineness that it is. So yeah, that's a hard thing to actually keep right in our minds, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's, I think it's probably two things. One is realizing that my scripts that I have created in my head from regular usage can come across as just as that, as a script.
Yep.
Right. And so that then pushes towards my ability and my emotional intelligence to be understanding what it is that I'm saying. Because some people that I connect with, or clients, or either or, I can say that statement as dry or as, how can I help you, or whatever, and they're going to be right there and say, yeah, man, here's what I need. And the other people are going to be like, you clearly don't want to help me. So I have to be emotionally intelligent and in tune to all of it, right? Your moods, your expressions, all of that stuff to determine whether or not it's actually getting through to you accurately.
Yep, I think that's great. So Anthony, I think we've got a lot of good information for the people that have been watching and listening to us today. But I always like, and around connections, but I always like to talk to my guests about the future. And there's a lot of, we see it all the time. There's a lot of talk about disruption in industries and all the rest of it. But I always like to ask people's view on what do you see as the biggest challenge in business in, say, the next 5 years?
It's just what we've been talking about. I would actually label it, I've said it a couple of times, I'd label it emotional intelligence.
Yep.
It's our inability to connect with other people. right? Because what's going to happen is you're going to build the best widget in the world. I really don't even know what a widget is. You're going to build the best widget in the world,
Yep.
and it's going to solve problems. It's going to be a disruptor. I love that. But I'm not going to be able to communicate it with you. I'm not going to be able to talk to you. And so this isn't your question, but the people that are going to succeed, the people that are actually going to make it, it's not going to, I don't see it being the technical geniuses. It's simply going to be the people that know how to connect with people.
Yep.
Because all of our trending educationally and through society with especially with our kids it doesn't push towards interaction. It pushes towards interface or the mask, right?
Yep.
And so the biggest thing is going to be the people that can connect with other people and they can interface and build relationships.
Yep.
True, genuine relationships. Not a big Rolodex, real relationships.
Yep. And I sort of circle something, go back to the emotional intelligence thing for a second, and just ask, so if the people who are listening or watching this show, they're people who love to learn. You know, obviously, if they're going to invest their time in listening to this kind of resource. So what can you give, have you got any great resources that people could use about emotional intelligence, just to learn a bit more about it?
I'm a big, my undergraduate work is in science, and so I love how the brain and the science works together. And so this book's a little heavier, but actually the book Emotional Intelligence by the guy who founded the language, the word emotional intelligence, and I have to pull him up. It's Daniel Gilman, I think it is.
Yep.
His book it's titled Emotional Intelligence, right? That's a great book. It's heady, which meaning it's got a lot of science in it. But it's got a lot of practical stuff. If that's what you're looking for, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and we'll link that in the show notes. And I've read that book, and it's a really good book. Yeah. So,
yeah, very good. I just actually recently finished it. I was in the airport yesterday, and I saw a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to check out that one out. I don't know if it's any good, but
yeah, all right.
It's not by him. So
it's not by him. Okay. So, well, that's interesting. I might have a look at it as well. Because I think that's really important. And I think if the people who are watching or listening are interested in knowing more, that's a great place to start. And then there's many other ways you can find out more about them as well. So let's go back to the future. So what's next on the horizon for you?
Next on the horizon. Yeah, great question. So I am a savant, if you will. I had to sit down and write down all the industries that I'm currently in. I had my fingers in the other day, and I came up with 9 specific separate industries that I'm a part of or working in.
Yep.
But right now for us, actually, and I'm not sure if this is like a business plug or not question, but it's building our private practice. My wife and I, we both do therapy work. She works with mostly families and women and men and children, but I work strictly with businessmen.
Yep.
So we start with the individual self-care, and then we move into the business side. And I don't see a whole lot of people doing that. So it's just building that practice and developing it. Again, it's about connecting. They have this inability to connect or figure out who I can talk to. And so my goal is to help them with that. So that's really kind of what's next. Excellent. I would say it's building that bigger.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's excellent. And I suppose before we finish, I want to take you into our 3-question lightning round. So I'll just ask you 3 quick questions and just give you the first thought that comes to mind.
Yeah.
You ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right. Sounds good. So the first one is, how did you make your first dollar?
Yeah. You mean first dollar like as a child?
Or whenever you made your first dollar. Some people didn't make their first dollar until they were 20.
Oh, man. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is I ran a pizza shop when I was really young.
Okay.
Not my pizza shop. I worked for a guy and I made whatever it was, $4.50 an hour or something like that. That's the first real job I ever had.
Yep.
But I come from an entrepreneurial family, so Dad started paying me to come work on the construction site when I was like 9 years old. Okay. So that was probably my real first dollar was move that stack of wood over there.
Yep. Excellent. That's great. So second one is, what book do you think every business owner should read?
I think the obvious answer to this is something like the E-Myth. Yep. But that's a starting point book. It really is. You cannot stop there. But I think the book that a lot of people don't hear about, it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Okay.
Great book. Again, a lot on the science side. She gets very hard in science, but talks about our mind and how our mind pushes us towards things and away from things, and just that whole concept. And so that's, I think, a better book to start with. Start there, because I get myself in the right mindset. Then I can go read like Michael Gerber's book, or some of these other books, Power Habit, How to Win Friends, Influence, all of Carnegie's stuff. You have the Napoleon Hill stuff. That's all great. We got to get into that mindset first.
Yep. Great. That's excellent. And the final question is, if you could give advice to your younger self, and that can be at any time really, or there's no set time, what would that advice be?
What would that advice be? Sometimes I think it would be never work for yourself. But I think the correct answer would be start earlier and work harder.
Yep. Great answer.
That's for me. I've done that. I've worked really hard. I've started early on some things. Mm-hmm. But even right now in my life, like if you guys say, hey, what are you struggling with? Which is not one of your 3 questions. I have to make sure that, like I said, I really want to spend time with my family right now.
Yep.
Right now. I have to make sure that I actually don't spend too much family and that I'm working hard.
Yep.
And so it would be start early and work harder.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks for that. No more quick fire questions, but great answers. So just before we finish, have we missed anything that you think is important to get across to the viewers and listeners today?
Man, we could go, I think we just barely scratched the surface on this concept. It's a constant thing that we need to be focused on. And I see it as a global shift and a global change. It's not like an American thing, and I don't think it's like an Australian thing. It's really a global thing, and that is, if you want to be good in your industry, stop worrying about your task of whatever it is that you do. Making hamburgers, being a lawyer, whatever.
Yep.
Start working on interpersonal relationships with people, connecting with people. And that's the big thing.
Excellent. Excellent. And the final question is, people want to reach out to you to discuss anything from today. Where can they reach you? What's the best way?
I like to kind of be personal. That's kind of my thing. So you can directly email. I don't even give you my phone number. Okay. My personal phone. I know you guys are in Australia, so maybe you won't call me. But
we have viewers and listeners from all over the world, Anthony.
There you go. I do that specifically because, you know what, if you're serious about it, I want to talk to you. If you're not, I don't care. So awitt@witthouse.com, or my phone number is 815-531-5450. Yep. I'm not sure you'll put that in the show notes. But if you want to find me on social, I'm pretty much everywhere on the social channels at ALEEWITT.
Great.
So A-Lee Witt, pretty much everywhere. Excellent. On all the social channels. So.
Excellent. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. It's the morning for me, but the afternoon for you. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks so much, man. I was excited to be here.
Cheers. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Anthony Witt. He's a great guy with a lot of great information. As I said in the intro, the 3 top takeaways for me was the importance of building connections, some practical tips on how to actually build those connections, and really going through and seeing his common mistakes that he sees people make when they make connections, or they try to make connections, and what they do wrong in that vein. Now, as I said in the intro too, we have a worksheet as we do. This is one that I really recommend that you have a look at. So if you're watching us on Facebook, click on the link below in the comments. And if you're watching or through one of the other mediums, or listening to the podcast, jump on to businesslegallifecycle.com.au/133 for episode 133. Craig, do you want to finish off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining us. We know you would have got a lot out of the interview with Anthony. We obviously thank Anthony for giving up his time to come on the show. As Jeremy said, please like us on Facebook, wherever else you might be listening or viewing this episode, to get the show notes or the workbook, episode 133 on the Business Legal Lifecycle website. We'll be back again on Monday for Fast Fix Monday, and we look forward to you all joining us then. Thanks, everyone. See you later.
See you later.